and you like to modulate the throttle and brake unless you're one of those psychos that likes to be all gas or all brake all the time. So they do have a very, very satisfying click to them. This is a big step up from the standard PS4 controller in my opinion. Alrighty, Stallions, over here at the unboxing station, I have you staring down here at the goods, the product that is. Going to go ahead and break into this. This is the Nexigo wireless game controller for PlayStation 4, iOS, Android, and PC. It does, of course, have dual vibration motors, 6-axis gyro, 3.5mm headphone port, basically all the standard features that you have come to know and love from the PlayStation 4 controller. Now, you do have a micro USB cable similar to a standard PlayStation 4 cable. It would have been nice if this was USB-C, but again, around the $33 price point, you can't really expect too much. You do have your instruction manual. It is very informative. Full color pictures, large font. English is the primary language. In fact, looks like English is the only language. It sure is. Very nice. This will walk you through how to pair to a PlayStation 4 or PC wirelessly or wired. You can use wireless Bluetooth to the PC. And of course, once you do the initial connection via the micro USB cable, you will be able to wirelessly turn your console on and off and manipulate all the controls of the PS4 wirelessly. So taking off these foam covers for the analog sticks over here ergonomically, this is a big step up from the standard PS4 controller in my opinion. The DualShock 4 is a little bit tiny and has a very interesting cut-in around the bottom of the shell, which in my opinion really isn't that comfortable for most North American hands. Now the plastics do feel a little bit cheap and chintzy, yet they do also feel durable. As I'm doing the stress test here, bending it back and forth to and fro, I don't hear any creaks and moans and groans in it or anything like that. It does feel solid and it does feel like it will hold up the test of time. Face buttons are a standard membrane design, so they have a rubber plunger mechanism behind these 4 face buttons. And as such, they don't have a necessarily tactile, clicky, mechanical feel, but I do have to say they are a step up from the standard PlayStation 4 controller, which in my opinion feels very mushy. Now the triggers do have a very short pull as well as a high amount of resistance, which I think would be very good for first-person shooters, battle royales, any kind of shooting game. However, for racing games, as you will not be able to modulate the throttle and brake by getting a lot of articulation in the triggers, that would not be ideal for that genre of game, but it is still usable as it isn't 100% on or off. There is a little bit of play there in the middle, but generally you're going to want to go back to a standard controller for racing games. Yes, you are noticing paddles in the back, and yes, those are fully remappable. This does also have a turbo function. Which in case you guys don't know what that does, it'll simulate you rapidly tapping any of the face buttons or triggers or bumpers, whatever you have it assigned to, and you can turn that on and off on the fly. So in essence, you can make semi-automatic weapons full auto by just holding down the trigger. You do have a really small D-pad here, which isn't a huge deal because very few games actually utilize the D-pad for drawing on it. Now you still can click down on it and it does have a nice tactile click to it. It doesn't feel wobbly or cheap or chintzy or anything like that. I do also like the share and option buttons more than a standard PS4 controller, as those are sunken in very deep to the shell, and these are actually more accessible for the fingers, have a nice tactile click to them, and overall just feel very good. D-pad is also a step up from the standard DualShock 4 controller, as it is a lot more tactile and clicky, and the speaker on this sounds about the same as a PS4 controller. Now the triggers in the back actually do have a nice tactile, clicky, mechanical feeling. These are indeed mechanical switches, not membrane, so they do have a very, very satisfying click to them. So unlike a lot of budget controllers out there, this does actually work with iOS. A lot of them only work with Android, PC, and PS4. This actually does work with iOS up to 14.0. Now my phone does have 14.7.1, which is the current build of iOS. However, we're going to give this a try right now and see if we can pair it up. So we're going to power this bad boy on. To put it into pairing mode, you are going to press the share button, and then you are going to hold down the home button for about 3 seconds. So tap and then hold. There we go. Now we're cooking with that grease. All right, we are now paired, as you can see right there. So many games that do support a gamepad for the iOS 14. Again, I have the latest version of iOS, and it still works with that. It works with Android. Obviously works wirelessly with PS4 and for PC use. And for PC use, you will be able to plug in via the cable or go into the same pairing mode that you did for this controller. Now, the instructions basically more or less said to tap share and then hold down the home button. That actually did not work for me. What you're going to do is hold down share and home button together, and that LED light is going to flash rapidly in pairs of 2, or in doubles, in tandem, if you will. It's going to double flash, pause, double tap, double flash, pause, and that is going to allow you to pair via Bluetooth. So this will be discoverable by, PC, PS4, iOS, and Android, anything that does support Bluetooth So one of the features I really do like about this controller is the fact that you can disable the paddles completely by turning them off right here. So you do have a set mode, which I'm going to run you guys through in just a minute, how to map these paddles, as they are mapped to square and triangle out of the box, which generally you want cross and circle, or A and B on an Xbox controller mapped, as that is going to be your jump and crouch and or slide. So for those first person shooters, it is very beneficial if you don't have 4 paddles to be able to map all the face buttons. So the fact that you can turn off these paddles is very convenient if you share this controller with maybe a girlfriend or a spouse or a friend that just doesn't like paddles, as you can accidentally hit them, and then you're doing motions on screen that you just simply do not want to do. So that is nice that you can turn them on and off on the fly. So we're going to go ahead and turn them on. And you're going to hold down the set button for about 3 seconds. And as you can see, there is a fast flicker going on this LED light up top, as well as the light bar on the front. You are going to press the face button that you want to map, and then the trigger that you want to map, or paddle, I should say. Awesome. We're going to enter remappable mode once again, getting that flashing light. We're going to press circle and left paddle. So now we have cross and circle back here. Now, turning turbo on and off is also very simple. You're going to hold down this Harry Potter forehead lightning bolt logo right here. Let me zoom in just a skosh. There we go. You're going to hold that down, and then whatever button you do want to map. So that can be face buttons, or I prefer my right trigger. Almost forgot, this is actually very important. Battery life is actually slightly better than a standard DualShock 4 controller, which is surprising because it does have paddles and flash mode and a couple of additional features. Not to mention, generally these third-party or knockoff controllers, if you want to call them that, generally have smaller milliamp hour batteries to cut down costs, but this actually performed neck and neck, if not slightly higher in some of my testing against a DualShock 4 controller. All right, I'm about to put the dick in verdict. What is my final conclusion of this product here? Well, I'd have to say for the asking price of $33, it's pretty good. You have 2 rear paddles. You have pretty ergonomic shape here, a lot more comfortable than the standard DualShock 4. And if you are in the market for a second controller, or maybe even a primary controller, this would do the job. The only thing that wouldn't make it a good primary controller is the fact that if you do play a lot of racing games, or maybe Grand Theft Auto or something like that, where you do some driving and you like to modulate the throttle and brake, unless you're one of those psychos that likes to be all gas or all brake all the time, then this simply will not work for you, as the triggers are those short pull. But other than that, the fact that you do have turbo function on there, which, you know, is a little bit of a gray area when it comes to, is that cheating? Is it not? Well, basically it's just simulating that you have the fastest fingers this side of the Mississippi, and you're able to double tap on people's foreheads without actually having to have tweaker fingers. So that is a nice convenience factor. And then also having 2 remappable paddles that you can turn on and off. I really do like that feature, because I have tested other budget paddle controllers, or premium ones or premium flagship controllers for that matter, and you couldn't remove or turn off the paddles. So I'd have to whip out another controller if I'm, you know, passing back and forth on couch co-op or something, because a lot of people that I play with really don't prefer paddles. So that's cool that you can turn them on and off. Now, it would be nice on their second version or iteration of this controller if they were to add 2 more paddles. I think that would savagely increase the value of this controller. If they were to keep the price similar to what it is now, maybe just slightly higher, and add 2 more paddles, that'd be fantastic. They don't have to go overboard with, you know, magnetic swappable thumbsticks and trigger locks or anything like that. They totally can if they want to. We ain't gonna stop them, and we'll play with it. But honestly, just adding 2 more paddles I think would be a very beneficial feature. All in all, though, I strongly do recommend for the price. I personally do prefer it a lot more than the licensed Sony DualShock 4 controller, both in ergonomics and included features. If you do want to check this bad boy out, it will be linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this honest gaming peripheral reviews, liking the video will help it to get seen by more people, so this information will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this channel, which I'm savagely serious about. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover news in the gaming community and industry, as well as tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.